everybody, my name is Kaylani and welcome back to my book corner. Today we're going to be talking about the books that I read at the end of May. And yes, I know it is already the middle of June. But I read 8 books to finish out my month of whatever month this is, May, to finish out my May month. So we will just go ahead and jump right into it. The first 2 books that I read, I am a little bit conflicted about because I read them because I was going to read the whole series, but now I kind of don't want to read the whole series. So I'm just going to tell you what they were. So I read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I only own the first 3 of these and I don't know if I want to keep buying them. If I do, I might get them secondhand somehow. This year, I'm telling y'all, the audacity of someone to do what J.K. Rowling did while everything else is going on in the world. Honestly. But we're not going to get into that because I have some strong feelings. But these books were fine. I read them because I just wanted, I've never physically read the books before. I've seen the movies and I just wanted to kind of compare the books to the movies. They weren't anything profound. Harry is still annoying in the books like I feel in the movie. And if you want to see how I read the first one, I do have a vlog style video up. I do have technically a vlog for this one as well, but I don't know if I want to put it up now. So isn't that fun? But there are the first 2 books that I read. Like I said, nothing profound. I don't know if I'm going to keep reading these. And that's all there is to say, I guess. The next book I read was If I Have Your Face by Frances Cha. And this book is probably my favorite book I read last month. This is following 3 women within an apartment building who kind of have a past with each other. I think it's never explicitly said like, oh, they were all friends before they moved into the apartment. But the way they talked in the book made it seem like they all came from the same place, but I don't know if they interacted with each other before they all moved into this apartment building. But we're following 4 women. 3 of them knew each other before the apartment. 1 did not. I'm really bad with names. And the synopsis was not good on this one because the synopsis made it pretty like heavily seem like it was going to be one character we're following, and we actually have points of views from all 4 characters. We're following Kiri, Miho, Wona, and Ara, and they are all amazing. So Kiri, oh shoot. I have it all written down in my reading journal, so let me reference that real quick. So Kiri works for a salon room, so she works kind of like, it's not a strip club, but it's kind of like a strip club, but like a high class strip club, you know what I mean? And she has all of this plastic surgery that she's gotten, and plastic surgery is kind of like an underlying theme through the whole book, because another girl in the book would like to get she gets plastic surgery and it drastically affects her. But so we follow Kiri, who is trying to get out of the salon room business, it would seem, and the like kind of pitfalls that she has to navigate. And this is like, so the synopsis pretty much only includes her. Like, they talk about a couple of the other characters, but she's the only character mentioned in the synopsis. But she is like they're all pretty split evenly. Like, every chapter is a different character. And so we also follow Miho, who is an artist obsessed with her dead friend. And she's making like this whole art collection for her dead friend, and she is dating a guy, and the guy is from a richer type of crowd, and so it's kind of her dating this guy that she thinks that she isn't good enough to be dating. And so there's Miho, and then you have Ara, I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce her name. It's A-R-A, and she is mute. She was beaten as a child by a different group of children, and she has lost the ability to speak, and she's kind of like badass, like badass, and I love her so much. There's this like scene where she's like dealing with another coworker, and y'all, I wish I had the guts she had, because that was pretty intense, and I love her so much. And then Owona is a character who also is living in the building. She is the one who is separate from the other three because she is an older married woman, and she finds out she is pregnant, and kind of like her childhood trauma is coming back, and she's like trying to navigate through that. And it's just kind of like how they all come together to support each other, and it's perfect, and I love it so much. Highly recommend. I gave it a 5 stars. I loved it. If you like contemporary dramas, and it is set in Seoul, Korea, so that makes it a little bit different because you kind of get that culture that I did not know about, like the whole plastic surgery. Like I don't know if it's all Asian culture, but I knew that plastic surgery was pretty prevalent, but I did not realize that it was just like kind of like everyday stuff, which was interesting. So If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha is a really good read, and I highly recommend it. Alright, the next book that I read was actually a DNF, but it wasn't a DNF because it was a bad book, okay? So the next book was They Went Left, and I know you guys are going to get really tired of seeing just black covers, but this is the life I lead. It's They Went Left by Monica Hess, and this is a World War II historical fiction book. It's YA, and it follows a girl trying to find her brother after she is released from an internment camp or a concentration camp. And I don't know what the end is, and that's why I couldn't finish the book, because I was not mentally prepared for the ending I think I was about to get. I got a pretty good chunk. I got over halfway through the book before I was like, I don't know if I can handle the ending I'm about to get. So I put it down, and until I find out what the ending is, like, I want this book spoiled. So if you want to DM me and tell me how this book ends, please do, because I need to know very specific details. Because it was rough. This book was rough, like, mentally for me. And I don't know if it's because, like, the shitstorm of a year and then this, and it's just like, because it's very, I don't want to say graphic, because it's not graphic, but it's very intense in moments where you really feel, not feel for her, but like the things that she's gone through. And like, these are based on real people, right? Like, my empathy was just too high for it, so I couldn't finish it until I know what the ending is. So there's that. And then after that, I read This Time Will Be Different, and this is a YA contemporary following a woman, or a young girl, who's in high school, and her aunt is losing her flower business. It's failing, it's not making money, and so they're trying to save it. And then some news kind of comes out about what happened when her grandparents rebought it, because her grandparents had this flower shop, and then they had to sell their flower shop because they were put into an internment camp in the US during World War II, and they sold it for very cheap to a person in the community. And then when they came back, the person who they sold it to pretty much was like, nah, you gotta pay face value, man. And they did not have that money because they had just been essentially prisoned for no reason. And so they're dealing with that, and they're trying to find a way to do what they can. And the mother irritated the living daylights out of me in this, because I know you want your child to succeed, and I know you want to make sure your child doesn't get hurt, but the amount of just like crap the mother puts this girl through, and then she keeps going back to like, well, I'm not as bad as other Asian mothers, and like, that doesn't mean you're making good choices. Do you know what I mean? Like, really, she drove me nuts. So the mother actually tampered with my rating a little bit. This was a 3-star read. The romance in it was super adorable though. This does have some LGBT representation. Her best friend is in the LGBTQIA group, and so there is also that dynamic as well as the Asian dynamic. So overall I give it a 3-star. I think it deals with pretty important topics. The ending did feel a little bit long to me, but it is what it is. I finished it and I enjoyed it. So there's that one. This time will be different. The next book that I read was Bone Criers Moon, and this one is by Catherine Purdy. That's who this one is by. I don't know if this is going to be a series or a duology. Probably a duology. I feel like duologies are really popular right now, but I can't remember off the top of my head. This is my Owl Crate edition of this book. And in this one, we are following 3 characters. So we have Sabine, Elise, and Bastion. So in this book, we are following a bone crier, and a bone crier is someone who helps ferry the dead souls to the next life. And to be able to become a bone crier, you have to sacrifice your true love to become the bone crier. So in this, we follow Elise as she is trying to become a bone crier, and she is met with Bastion, and Bastion has some past with bone criers. His father was killed with bone criers, and so he ends up kidnapping her, and it's kind of just like how things unfold. And then Sabine is also a main character, but I don't really know how to describe her. She's not... I don't know how to describe her without giving out spoilers, I guess. So she is just like Elise's best friend. She is not a good bone crier. Like, she hates killing things, and killing things really causes her pain. And so she is dealing with that within the story, and it's kind of like her coming into her own without her best friend always not really showing her up, but always doing better than her. So there is that one. So the next 2 books that I read were feel-good books because it was the end of the month and I had some time to read, and this is what I read. So the first one I read was Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and this is following Chloe Brown and Red as they kind of intermingle with each other. They're not really enemies, I guess, at the beginning, but they don't like each other. I do like this book because it has chronic pain representation. Chloe Brown has chronic pain, and it kind of shows how chronic pain affects your mental and physical state, because I also deal with chronic pain from a car accident I was in a couple years ago. And so I really enjoyed that representation, because sometimes it's hard to explain to people like how exhausting it is just to like exist some days. And yeah, and this is I think the first book in the series. I know another one is coming out. It's called Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and it follows Chloe's sister. But Talia Hibbert is the author of this, and she is so funny. Her author synopsis is a Black British author who lives in a bedroom full of books. Supposedly, there is a world beyond that room, but she is yet to drum up enough interest to investigate. She writes sexy, diverse romance because she believes that people of marginalized identities need honest and positive representation. Her interest includes beauty, junk food, and unnecessary sarcasm. Love it. Here for it. Let's get some going. So I love this book, and I am very excited to pick up the second one featuring her sister Danny. And the last book that I read in May was Love Her or Lose Her, and this one is by Tessa Bailey. This is the second book in this like world or series. They can definitely be read separately. And this one we are following Rosie and Dominic, and they are actually a married couple who have kind of not really fallen out of love with each other. Although I guess Rosie does say she's fallen out of love with him, but I think I mean, they just really struggle. They have definite communication problems. If you don't like miscommunication trope, or yeah, if you don't like the miscommunication trope, this is not the book for you, because there is some miscommunication and like just like lack of communication just in general. But they decide that they are going to go to couples therapy, and Rosie kind of picks the hippiest of therapists just to get on Dominic's nerves and to try to push him to not want to go to therapy. And it's just their romance. Dominic is definitely alpha male, I guess. If you don't like masculine men, or men who are like, I do this because I'm a man, or like that's just how they were taught, don't pick this up, because Dominic is definitely like, I support my family and that's how I love you. Like, so don't pick this up if you're not into that kind of like show of emotion. That is all I have for you today. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will see you next time. Bye!